Navigation hotspots are one of Yulio's ways to navigate your virtual reality project by simply gazing at a hotspot icon to be moved into a different part of your VR project. Essentially, these are Yulio's form of point-to-point navigation. Adding navigation hotspots to your VR project is incredibly simple, and right now we are going to share our secrets and tips on adding hotspots to any VR project. Okay, step 1 to creating a project is to upload your scenes or cube maps. These are your building blocks and you cannot have a project without them. These can be 360 photos or rendered cube maps. You just have to make sure your file is meeting our upload requirements. Before you head into the hotspot editor, you want to make sure you reorder your scenes into a flow that makes sense for you, and ensure your starting scene is at the top of the list. Now that our scenes have finished uploading, you are ready to link everything together and add your navigation hotspots to your project. You can do so by clicking the blue Hotspot Editor button in the top right-hand corner. Now that we are in our hotspot editor, you will notice we are in the Scenes section, but you do have tabs here to edit or add all of the other types of hotspots. One thing I want to point out before we get started, sometimes when starting out, users get confused because they say, well, I uploaded 4 scenes, why are there only 3 showing up in the scenes panel? Well, that is because we are standing in the 4th scene, and you cannot navigate to somewhere you are already standing. So in this case, you are going to have up to 3 navigation hotspots in all 4 scenes. To create your navigation hotspots, select one of the thumbnails from the left-hand side and drag and drop it into your project. From here, you can click on the hotspot and drag it to place it exactly where you like. In this case, the scene that we are linking to is a seated camera height, so I'm going to place this hotspot right on top of the chair. The seated perspective is rendered directly out of CAD by adjusting your camera height pre-render. Once I place my hotspot, I have a couple of customization options under the Properties panel. Here, I can rename my hotspot or hide that label altogether. I prefer shorter labels because I find they look better when viewing in virtual reality. Next, you can adjust the depth of your hotspot. This is not just making that icon larger or smaller, it is actually moving it further away from you or closer to you in VR. You want to make sure you are setting your depth relevant to all of your other hotspots in your scene. So this hotspot placed on the chair should appear closer than the other 2 further into the space. I'm going to set this hotspot closer to the near side and adjust the depth accordingly for my other 2 hotspots. Next up, you have the ability to change the color of the hotspot icon to either black or white, depending on if you have a very dark or very bright scene. And there we go. I have added my first hotspot. Now we are going to do the same thing again for my other 2. Click, drag, and drop to place the hotspot in the scene. This one is a standing perspective, so I'm going to place this hotspot right at eye level. I have seen some clients who prefer to place all their hotspots on the floor so it doesn't distract from the scene, so that could work too. Next, adjust your label, and then for my depth in this case, I am placing it right in the middle here, since it is further away than the seated position, but closer than the scene at the back of the space. You can really start to see how you will get the hang of adding your own hotspots pretty quickly once you get into the hotspot editor and play around with it a couple of times. Okay, so now that I have added all of my hotspot to my first scene here, I want to switch scenes and add my reciprocating hotspots to my other 3 scenes in this project. Remember, I uploaded 4 scenes and I always want to be able to get back to where I came from, so you need to make sure you go scene to scene and add all of your desired hotspots. There we go. All changes in Yulio are saved automatically so you can check out your work by simply clicking the preview icon and share it with clients immediately. Keep in mind there is no right or wrong way to do it when it comes to adding your navigation hotspots. These are some of our best practices, but don't be afraid to play around with it and get creative. Adding navigation hotspots to your VR project is a great way to make your designs interactive and allow your viewers to explore your space. And that's it.